She cheated with my brother, stole $250, $0 from our joint account to fund their affair, and now my ex is suing me for half the family estate. This betrayal feels like a nightmare I can't wake up from. Hello everyone. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now let's begin the video. Using a throwaway for obvious reasons with certain specifics modified to preserve anonymity. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing out what happened to me like some cautionary tale. But here I am, and trust me, it's a wild ride I wouldn't wish on anyone. The thing is, I always thought I knew my wife, Sarah. We'd been married for 8 years, had 2 kids, a nice house, the usual picture-perfect life, at least on the surface. But the last few months, something felt off. Small things at first, her phone buzzing at odd hours, her being more distant, secretive even. I brushed it off, told myself I was just imagining things. Until one night, everything changed. It started with a simple text message that I saw on her phone while she was in the shower. A number I didn't recognize with a message that said, "Can't wait to see you tonight." Nothing explicit, but enough to set off alarms in my head. I remember feeling cold all over, my stomach twisting. I didn't confront her then. I wanted to catch her in the act, see what she was up to. So I started watching. Over the next few days, I noticed her behavior becoming even more suspicious. She was sneaking around, hiding her phone more often, deleting messages, and she'd get defensive if I asked about her whereabouts. One morning, I decided to check our joint bank account. That's when I saw it, $250, zero gone in transfers over the past month. Gone, just like that. I couldn't believe it. That kind of money doesn't disappear unless someone stolen it. I sat there staring at the screen, trying to process what I was seeing. I knew she had access to the account, but I also knew she'd never been money-driven before. I called the bank, asked for details, and they confirmed the transfers were initiated from her device. That's when it hit me. She was planning something, or already had someone else in her life. My mind raced through all the possibilities, but the one thing I knew for sure was she'd been lying to me for months. I didn't sleep that night. I was furious, betrayed on every level. How could she do this, steal from us, from our family, and with my brother no less, my own flesh and blood? The thought made my stomach turn. I kept asking myself if I'd missed the signs, if I'd been blind to her manipulation. But the truth was I was blindsided, completely caught off guard. I had trusted her with everything, my heart, our savings, our future, and now I was left with nothing but shattered illusions. The next day I confronted her. She was in the kitchen, sipping her coffee, acting innocent. I showed her the bank statements, the evidence of the money gone. I demanded an explanation. Her eyes widened and she immediately started lying, saying it was some kind of mistake, that she'd been planning to tell me but hadn't found the right moment. She said she was stressed, overwhelmed, and that the money was for her emotional well-being. Yeah, that's what she called it, emotional well-being, while she was screwing my brother and stealing our money. Her words were full of bullshit. She kept insisting she loved me, that I was overreacting, that it was just sex with my brother, nothing serious. She claimed she'd never meant for me to find out this way, that she was planning to tell me everything soon. But I didn't buy it. I saw right through her lies. The woman I married was a manipulator, a liar, a thief, someone who'd betray her own family for a fling. And that's when the anger really started boiling over. I felt like I was in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. My mind kept flashing back to all the moments I thought we were happy, the times I thought she was just stressed or tired. Turns out she was lying to me every single day. I was furious but also deeply hurt. How could she do this to me, to our kids, to our life? I didn't know what to do next, but I knew one thing: I had to act. I couldn't let her get away with this, not without a fight. After confronting her, the room felt heavy with silence. Sarah's face was a mask of innocence mixed with defiance, like she thought she could lie her way out of this mess. She kept insisting it was just sex with my brother, that it didn't mean anything and that I was overreacting. She threw in some classic lines, how she was stressed, confused, and that I was paranoid. Honestly, I wanted to punch her. The woman I married, the woman I trusted with everything, was sitting there spinning these bullshit excuses while she had stolen our life savings and was screwing my brother. I remember feeling a mixture of rage and disbelief. I'd always known Sarah was a bit bitchy, demanding, and manipulative. She'd been that way since the day I met her, but I never thought she'd betray me like this. And my brother, God, that hurt more than anything. I'd always considered him family, someone I trusted. Turns out, he was just as much a part of the betrayal. That's when I realized I needed to get serious, to think about what comes next. I told her I was done talking, that I needed some space to think. I left the house and went straight to my lawyer's office. I needed to understand what my rights were, especially about the money and the house. The lawyer told me that she could try to sue for half the estate, especially since we had a joint account, and that I'd have to prepare for a long legal battle. That's when I found out she'd already started planning her next move. She hired a lawyer, and I got served with papers claiming I was trying to hide assets and that I was an unfit father. That hit me like a punch in the gut. I wasn't trying to hide anything. I just wanted her to be honest. But now she was framing me as the bad guy, spinning lies to cover her own ass. That's when I realized she was a master manipulator. She knew exactly how to twist things in her favor. Meanwhile, I was left to pick up the pieces, trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong so fast. The emotional toll was immense. I'd always prided myself on being a stable, dependable guy. Now, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach every day. I'd wake up angry, then sad, then furious all over again, thinking about her with my brother. Stealing our money, lying to my face, it was all too much. I'd catch myself staring at the ceiling, wondering what I did wrong, questioning whether I was blind or just too trusting. I kept replaying every conversation, every moment, trying to find some sign I missed. But there was nothing. Just a woman who had been screwing me over behind my back for months. I started digging into her phone, her emails, anything I could find. I wanted proof. I needed to see how deep this rabbit hole went. Turns out she'd been seeing my brother for over a year. They'd been sneaking around, hiding their affair in plain sight. She told him to keep it secret, but I found messages where she was bragging about how hot she looked when she was with him, how she was so tired of pretending with me. That's when I realized she'd been planning this for a long time. She used me, used our money, and then threw it all away for some cheap sex and a quick thrill. The worst part, she kept lying even after I knew the truth. She'd deny everything, act like I was crazy for suspecting her. She'd call me paranoid, accuse me of being insecure, but I knew better now. I saw through her lies. I saw the truth in her texts, her bank transfers, her secret meetings. I felt like I'd been living in a nightmare, waiting for the morning to come and wake me up. But there was no waking up from this, just a long, painful road ahead. After the initial shock wore off, I started to realize just how deep this betrayal ran. It wasn't just the affair or the stealing of our money, it was everything. I felt like I'd been stabbed in the back by everyone I trusted. My wife, Sarah, had been cheating on me with my own brother, and she'd taken $250,000 from our joint account to fund their sick little secret. That's when the anger shifted to pure, unfiltered rage. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. I spent the next few days in a fog trying to piece everything together. I couldn't believe she'd gone so far, lying, cheating, stealing. I'd always been the good guy, the guy who worked hard, paid the bills, and kept his family safe. Now I felt like I was drowning in betrayal. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I hadn't seen the truth sooner. But the truth was, she was good at hiding it. She'd always been bitchy, demanding, manipulative. She knew how to hide her tracks. Still, I felt like an idiot for not seeing it earlier. One thing was clear, I couldn't let her get away with it. Not without consequences. I decided to hire a private investigator. I needed proof of everything. Her meetings with my brother, her spending habits, any other lies she was telling. The investigator confirmed what I already suspected. She'd been meeting with my brother at a fancy hotel, staying out late and spending money like crazy. They'd been screwing around for over a year, and she'd even lied about her whereabouts when I called her. She told me she was working late, but she was really with him, doing God knows what. That was the breaking point. I sat there staring at the photos and reports, feeling sick. I realized I couldn't trust her anymore. I couldn't stay in this marriage, not with her lying and stealing from us. I also knew I had to protect what was left, our home, the kids, the little bit of dignity I had left. I started preparing for a divorce knowing she'd fight me every step of the way. She was already trying to spin it as my fault, claiming I was paranoid and controlling. That made me furious. She was the one sneaking around, stealing and lying. Now she was trying to make me look like the crazy one. Meanwhile, her attitude was getting worse. She'd throw tantrums, scream at me, call me insecure and jealous. She'd pretend to be the victim as if I was overreacting, but I was. I saw the truth in her eyes every time she looked at me. She didn't love me anymore. She just saw me as a target, someone to manipulate and use for her own benefit. It was disgusting. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. The money she stole, that was just the beginning. I found out she also been draining our retirement accounts, selling off some of our valuables, and even trying to hide her assets in her sister's name. I was furious. I'd worked my whole life for that money and she just took it like it was nothing. I started to think about revenge, not just legally, but personally. I wanted her to feel what it was like to be betrayed, to be lied to and used. I wanted her to understand how much she'd hurt me, how much she'd destroyed our family. I also knew I had to protect my kids from this mess. I didn't want them growing up thinking their mother was some kind of villain, but I couldn't pretend everything was okay anymore. I filed for divorce and I made sure to get full custody of the kids. I wanted them to be safe, away from her manipulations and lies. I also made plans to expose her publicly, to show everyone what kind of person she really was. I was done playing nice. This woman had betrayed everything I believed in. Now I'm left with a broken heart, a mountain of legal battles, and a sense of betrayal that cuts deeper than I ever thought possible. But I also feel a strange sense of relief. I'm finally free from her lies. I'm starting to see the world clearly again, even if it's a painful truth. The scars will stay, but I know I'll get through this. And maybe someday I'll be able to trust again. But for now, I just want to warn anyone out there. Trust is fragile, and some betrayals cut so deep you'll never forget. The legal battle has been a nightmare. Sarah's lawyers are relentless, and she's throwing everything she has at me. Accusations, lies, trying to paint me as the bad guy. She's claiming I'm controlling, that I was emotionally abusive, that I was trying to hide assets to screw her over. Meanwhile, she's the one who stole the money, cheated with my brother, and lied for months. It's surreal. Every court hearing feels like a circus, with her spinning tailies that make my blood boil. I never thought I'd be in a position where I had to fight for my reputation, my money, and my family's future against someone I once loved. I've been poring over every piece of evidence I have: texts, bank statements, emails. I even hired a forensic accountant to trace the money she took. Turns out, she was funneling some of it into accounts in her sister's name, trying to hide the trail. It's almost laughable how obvious she thought she was being, but I guess she underestimated the lengths I'd go to find the truth. I've also been gathering witness statements, neighbors who saw her sneaking out late, friends who heard her bragging about her affair. Every little piece of proof adds up. I want her to pay for what she's done. The emotional toll is heavy. I feel exhausted, betrayed, and angry all at once. Every morning I wake up with a knot in my stomach, wondering if I'll ever trust anyone again. It's like a part of me is dead, replaced by this bitterness. I keep replaying the moments I missed, the signs I ignored, and I wonder how I was so blind. But then I remind myself, she chose this path. She chose to lie, cheat, and steal. I didn't force her into any of it. That realization doesn't make it hurt any less, but it helps me keep some clarity. My kids are the only thing keeping me going. They don't fully understand what's happening, but they sense the tension. I try to shield them from the worst of it, but I know they see their mother's true colors. I've told them I love them and that everything will be okay, even if I don't know what okay looks like anymore. I want to be there for them, to give them stability even amid all this chaos. I've hired a counselor for the kids and myself too. I need to process this mess or I'll lose my mind. Sarah, on her end, is trying to spin things her way. She's already started dadding again, posting vague pictures on social media about finding herself. It's disgusting, honestly. She's acting like she's the victim, like she's the one who got hurt. But I know better. I know her game. She's trying to make me look like the villain while she moves on to her next target. It's infuriating. I want to confront her, tell her she's a selfish, manipulative bitch, but I know that won't help. All I can do is fight legally and emotionally to protect what's mine and make sure she doesn't get away with it. Revenge. Yeah, I think about it every day. Not just legally, but personally. I want her to feel the pain she's caused. I want her to realize that her actions have consequences. But I also know that revenge can be a double-edged sword. Right now, I'm channeling that anger into making sure she pays in court, that she loses her grip on the money she stole, and that she's held accountable. I want her to see that she can't just destroy a family and walk away unscathed. That's the real victory, exposing her, making sure she's held responsible. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever fully recover from this. The trust is shattered, the betrayal runs deep, but I also know I have to move forward. I have to rebuild my life piece by piece. I've started working out again, taking care of myself and focusing on my kids. I want to show them that even in the darkest times, there's still a way to come out stronger. I've learned that loyalty and honesty are everything, and I won't let anyone take that away from me again. This isn't over yet, but I refuse to let her win. I'll fight every legal battle, every lie, every attempt she makes to manipulate. Because at the end of the day, I want my dignity back. I want my family's integrity restored. And most of all, I want to be free from the nightmare she put me through. It's a long road ahead, but I'm determined to see it through. The months have blurred together in a whirlwind of court dates, sleepless nights, and endless legal battles. Sarah's lawyers are relentless, trying to twist every piece of evidence I have, claiming I'm trying to hide assets or manipulate the system. But I've got the truth on my side. Every document, every text message, every bank transfer points back to her, her lies, her theft, her affair. Still, it's exhausting. I constantly feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle just to keep what's mine and protect my kids from her chaos. One of the hardest parts has been watching her attempt to spin her narrative. She's already started telling mutual friends and even some family members that I'm the bad guy, jealous, controlling, paranoid. She claims she was forced into her affair because I was distant or abusive, which is utterly false. I was never abusive, just a guy trying to hold everything together while she was out having sex with my brother and draining our savings. It's infuriating to see her manipulate everyone, trying to make herself look innocent. But I have proof, her own words, her bank statements, her secret meetings, and I plan to use every bit of it. The emotional toll is brutal. Sometimes I feel numb, like I've been punched so many times I don't know which way is up. Other times I'm filled with rage at her, at my brother, at myself for not seeing it sooner. I keep asking myself what I did wrong, but I know deep down that this isn't my fault. She chose this path. She decided to cheat, steal, and lie. Still, it's hard to accept that the woman I loved, the mother of my children, turned out to be someone so selfish and manipulative. My focus now is on the legal side, fighting her attempt to claim half the estate. She's arguing that because we had a joint account, she's entitled to 50%. But I have evidence that she was using that money without my knowledge, funneling it into her sister's account and hiding assets. I've hired forensic accountants to trace everything. I want her to lose everything she's stolen. I want her to realize that actions have consequences. The kids are starting to notice the tension. They're too young to understand everything, but I see the confusion in their eyes. I make sure to keep things as normal as possible, telling them I love them every day. I want them to feel safe, even if the house feels like a battlefield sometimes. I've started therapy for them and myself because I know I can't do this alone. I need to stay strong for them even when I feel like crumbling inside. Meanwhile, Sarah is moving on quickly. She's posting pictures, acting like she's reborn, a new woman free from the tyranny of our marriage. It's sickening. She's already dating again, probably trying to fill the void with new men while I'm stuck fighting her in court. I want her to face the consequences of her actions, to feel some of what I've been going through. That's partly why I'm so determined to win this case, so she can't just walk away unscathed. Sometimes I think about revenge, not just legal but personal. I want her to see what she's lost. I want her to realize that her actions destroyed her family, that she can't just cheat and steal without consequences. But I also know that revenge isn't always the answer. Right now, my focus is on justice, getting back what's mine, protecting my kids, and making sure she can't manipulate her way out of this. This whole experience has changed me forever. I used to think trust was everything, but now I know it can be shattered in an instant. I've learned that people can hide their true selves behind a pretty face and a false smile. I've learned to be more cautious, more guarded. And I've learned that, even in the darkest moments, there's a flicker of hope, hope that truth will come out and justice will prevail. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. I refuse to let her win. I'll keep fighting for my family, for my dignity, for my peace. Because at the end of the day, that's all I have left. And I'll do whatever it takes to make sure she pays for what she's done. Now, after everything, I sit here reflecting on how much my life has changed in such a short time. The house is quiet most days, the silence heavy but somehow necessary. The courtroom battles are over, and I've managed to secure a settlement that, while not perfect, feels like some form of justice. Sarah's attempt to claim half of everything, our home, our savings, the little we had, was ultimately denied. The judge saw through her lies, her manipulations, and her attempt to make herself the victim. I won't lie, it's been a harrowing experience, one that has left scars I know will stay with me forever. The biggest lesson I've learned is the importance of trust and the danger of ignoring red flags. I was naive, thinking I knew her completely, trusting her with everything. But she was hiding a side I never saw, one driven by greed, betrayal, and a reckless desire for thrill and independence. I realize now that people can wear masks for a long time, hiding their true nature until it's too late. My mistake was believing that love alone could keep everything together. That's a lesson I hope others can learn from. My kids are doing better. They're resilient, more than I could have imagined. I make sure they know they're loved, protected, and that their future is still bright despite all this chaos. I've decided to focus on rebuilding my own life, piece by piece. I've started therapy, reconnected with old friends, and even picked up a new hobby, something I never thought I'd do, but it helps. I'm slowly learning to trust again, not in her but in myself. As for Sarah, I hope she finds whatever she's looking for, though I doubt it's happiness. I've realized that her actions stem from her own insecurities and selfishness, not from any real love. That's something I have to accept. I can't change her, only myself. I've moved on mentally, emotionally, and financially, even if the pain still lingers. I remind myself every day that I am stronger than this betrayal, that I can rebuild what was lost, and that I deserve better. Looking back, I see how this experience has reshaped me. I'm more cautious now, more guarded, but also more aware of what truly matters. I've learned that sometimes, love isn't enough to protect you from betrayal. Trust must be earned, and it's fragile. I've also learned that revenge, while tempting, doesn't heal wounds, truth and justice do. And I've come to accept that some betrayals leave permanent scars, but they don't define me. So I move forward with a cautious hope. I'm not the same person I was 8 months ago, and honestly, I wouldn't want to be. I've grown stronger, wiser, and more determined to protect what's mine. I'll never forget what happened, but I refuse to let it consume me. I've learned to forgive, not for her sake, but for my own peace. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's letting go of the anger that keeps you chained to the past. In the end, I want to tell anyone reading this, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs. And when betrayal strikes, don't let it destroy you. Use it as a lesson, a stepping stone to a better future. Because even in the darkest moments, there's a glimmer of hope. Hope that you'll come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and ready to rebuild. That's what I'm doing now. And I know deep down that I'll be okay.